Hey, this is Marcus Washington from MTC Media. So yesterday, George Mason made official they are bringing back Tony Skinn, the former George Mason player that was starting point guard, off of the Final Four team back in 2006. Now he has copious amounts of experience being an assistant. He was an assistant over there at Seton Hall. Then he was over at Ohio State. He was over here at the University of Maryland. So certainly this isn't one of those picks where you're just picking someone who has ties to the school and you kind of look at his resume and it's kind of squirrely, like, ooh, I don't know if this guy's qualified. The only thing you can say is he doesn't have head coaching experience, which I think if you pick the right person, and I'm not sure if Tony Skinn time will tell if Tony Skinn's that right person. I think the sometimes that's overplayed with the head coaching experience. Obviously, being in that first chair is a million times different. But I do think it depends on how your previous stops, how you were used, and to what extent you were used. And I think we're going to see some of that come out with Skinn. I always say this with Jason Williford. You can tell me that Jason Williford doesn't have head coaching experience. If you think Jason Williford is not qualified to be a head coach in a sizable conference because he doesn't have head coaching experience, you're out of your mind. I thought that if there was a move at certain schools in Atlantic 10, that Williford would be one of those guys that it would have been perfect if those things were open. So I think that's sort of overplayed at times, but the challenge for Skinn is going to be huge. First and foremost, George Mason's best players have been in the portal. 2 have already committed to other schools. Josh Oduro is going to Providence, and so is Justin Fernandez. Don't know about Ronald Polite the third. Is that one of those ones where Tony Skinn can re-recruit him back to George Mason, or is Polite truly looking to go somewhere else? And then it's how do you build in the first year without the first year defining you? George Mason's obviously going to have to go to the portal to get a lot of pieces. But for a school like George Mason, who does not use its location and its ability to take basketball a little bit more serious to the nth degree. They don't. It's very managed within the footprint of the university. So for those outside, some of the inherent advantages that you think George Mason would have, they really do not implement. They really do not take advantage of that thing. So Tony Skinn's going to have to operate within some parameters, which means, yes, those first year, maybe first 2 seasons, you're going to have to operate using the portal. Next year's probably going to be hard. It's going to be tough. But this is where Tony Skinn needs to have dual paths. Yes, first 1 or 2 years, portal. But that's also going to have to be traditional recruits, because let me tell you, the portal's going to thin out as soon as we get rid of all these COVID exemptions, and as soon as the regulations on the second transfer really hit, and we get a feel for how the NCAA is going to give exemptions on that second transfer. If they really lock it down, the portal's going to thin. Part of the reason why the portal is what it is, it's not because kids are soft and kids don't, it's because you have too many kids. The COVID exemptions destroyed recruiting on the high school side. No one just wants to really apply that when that is the reason why we have such high portal numbers. Just that's the reality of it. But for Tony Skinn, it's got to be both, which means how do I get the right portal guys in here while playing the young guys I brought in? Because those young guys got to play. Ask North Carolina, when the young guys don't play, what happens? You end up with Tyler Nickel at Virginia Tech. You end up with Dontrez Styles still looking around. Guys are not going to wait. These guys with stars beside their name, they're not waiting 2.5 years to play. Not waiting 3 years to play. So you got to find a way to have a dual track of portal guys and while playing guys that you brought in. Tony Skinn, to me, because he's not one of those old school coaches, because of his age, he falls in the demographic of the thing that I think he can handle it, to be honest with you, because he doesn't have those old school, well, back in my day, and it used to be, and he's not of that age. So if there's someone who can handle it, I think Skinn and guys of his generation in the coaching circles can handle this. It's being able to do it effectively, and it's being able to do it correctly, and being able to stay committed to that dual path. But for George Mason to be able to get a coach, And still not to have an athletic director is a minor miracle within itself, that they were able to get someone not only who was starting to build a resume to be able to get a head coaching job, but for someone who obviously is connected with the university and people have fond feelings about. And I've said this, if you follow me on Twitter, which is one of his biggest challenges, is how to build his staff in an intelligent way. Put someone on there who has head coaching experience. The staff cannot be favors back to the university. The staff has to be strategic. I'm sure, even though Tony has ties to some of the big, one of the big AAU programs in there, I wouldn't be shocked if someone else from an AAU program ends up on that bench. There are a lot of bench building that the public doesn't want to know about, why you hire certain assistants, that needs to be done correctly. And I think, again, because of Tony's age, if he gets the former head coaching thing right, I think the rest of it, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. But for George Mason fans, you have to understand that the start's probably going to be pretty rocky. But congratulations to Tony Skinn. Congratulations to George Mason. It's Marcus Washington with MTC.